Campus Postgraduate Student Council representative, and I'm also the Institutional Student Representative Council in the portfolio of the Secretary General. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, Dewey, my brother, you were here last week. We talked about a lot of things that you guys had done the past week, for last week, and then you said you'll be back again, and here you are. What do you have for us today?
Can I just hand it over to my colleague, because we'll touch mostly on the ISRC matters and the ones that affect us on campus level as well.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Tato Muloy, the floor is yours.
My good sir.
Yes, sir. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity again, and on behalf of my council, institutionally and both on campus level, we bring to the students' attention the developments that we have had in the past week as far as the online learning is concerned, and we wanted to inform the students about the changes in operations of our council, in the sense that the current SRC, the SRC that is in office led by His Honorable and His Excellency, Mr. Lehohonolo Mohabi, will be continuing with their term of office from the beginning of the 1st of September until the 28th of February in 2021. This was because there was no proper timing, there was no democratic way of having SRC elections during this pandemic of the coronavirus. And in the quest of keeping the spread, and through proper consultation with the institution, rectorate and student governance, we saw it fit that we shift all student activities pertaining and relating to SRC elections to March 2021. So as far as the SRC term of office is concerned, the current leadership will be continuing with their term under the new, they will now be called the Transitional Student Council from the 1st of September until the 28th of February 2021. And they will be continuing with the whole council. There is no updates as for now as to whether they will be reshuffling their council or they will be releasing a certain members due to personal and academic obligations. Now, I know there is a lot of questions around student matters involving academics and financial matters. May I first start with academic matters, if I may, colleagues? Am I still audible and am I still live?
Yes, you're still live, sir.
Thank you very much. Now, under academics, we want to inform our students that from the institutional office, this is an institutional matter that the online learning will be continuing to the second semester, and the only change that we are anticipating is the press release that Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology and Innovation, Mr. Blayden Nzimande, pardon me, Dr. Blayden Nzimande, will be talking about this coming week. I'm hoping it's the following week. My records are saying that it will be on the 18th. As we are approaching and anticipating lockdown, national lockdown level 2, this is where we are anticipating that first years will be allowed, first years undergraduate students will be allowed to come back to campus and continue with their studies, and most importantly, adhering to safety and health protocols as announced by the Department of Health and together with those of the National Command Council. As far as the online learning is concerned, all other students are expected to continue with online learning as prescribed and as communicated by their faculties. For example, students that are enrolled in the Faculty of Economics, Management and Sciences were told that they will be continuing with the rest of the academic year from home.
Okay.
When we reach lockdown level 2, we are anticipating that certain rules and regulations will be amended and allow students that are first years undergraduate to return back to campus and continue with their online learning at home. Given the nature of our campus, we know that physical distancing inside the lecture halls is a bit of a problem that we are working on right now. So most students will be advised to continue with online learning even though they are on campus. The reason why we are bringing back students on campus is to assist vulnerable students that are not equipped with the necessities such as a device, such as network, electricity, and adequate environments to study and prosper in their academic obligations. Now, another point that we want to bring to the students as far as online learning is concerned is the matter of seniors. We normally refer to them as returning students. So all seniors from second year, third year, and final year will only be allowed to come back to campus have they acquired a permit to access the campus. Should they be a resident student, they will also need to apply for a permit that permits them to access the campus and the campus residences. And we always keep in mind and always want to remind our students that there are safety protocols in place that needs to be followed as much as we are acquiring permits and accessing the campus. Before I move over to financial matters, I would want to make sure that I captured everything else under academics on an institutional basis, because I haven't yet started reporting from campus level.
Aye.
Okay.
Yes.
Are we fine, colleagues?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we're
yes,
fine,
we're
because
fine.
we had a comment here from one of the students asking, so when are we coming back on campus? But I think you've covered that. So yeah, you may proceed.
Okay. No, it's good that students are commenting, and it should be understood thoroughly
Okay.
and understood well that students that will be only coming back to campus until such a time that the minister announces something different to what we are working on right now. It will be students that have applied and acquired the correct documentation. This is their permit to access both the campus and the campus residence. The correct protocol to apply for a permit is for students to be identified through their faculties and through their respective departments. Such information will be communicated by their head of departments to the director of student affairs and later to the head of HR institutionally. This is only when a student can acquire a permit and use their permit to access campus. I am sure such information is communicated on their UFS for Life email addresses, and they are aware of how to acquire a permit and how to access campus, the protocols in place, and how to adhere to the rules and regulations. Now, moving on to financial matters, institutionally, colleagues, we were in engagements with the Department of Higher Education and NSFAS in trying to resolve the burning issue right now at the Qwaqwa campus, which is private accommodation allowances.
Okay.
Unfortunately, right now, I am not in a position to take a stand and say that we have championed and we have won all issues that are student related as far as private accommodation is concerned. However, it is important that students are reminded of the opportunity that was given to those that submitted incorrect documentation and those that submitted falsified documentation and those that did not apply for private accommodation at all. Such students that have been identified through the financial aid office got confirmation and communication from the financial aid office, and they were advised that they should appeal their private accommodation statuses. The procedure that was supposed to be followed necessarily is per their student email communication from the financial aid offices. such that after applying and reappealing for private accommodation, students will be reminded again that the 11th of September 2020 will be the closing date for all students to reappeal their private accommodation statuses. This is a one-time opportunity and late applications won't be considered because the institution is working on submitting the database of all funded students for the second semester of the 2020 academic year to the Department of Higher Education and make them aware of the students that are funded for the current academic year and need funds for the second semester. The sooner students submit their necessary documentations to the relevant office, it's the better that the university submits in time and students are afforded another chance to get their allowances in time in the second semester when we look at and when we are approaching the end of the first month of the first semester, that is September, October and November. We are also encouraging students to be proactive around their appeals, as we do not want to be working on this issue for the whole year. I know where you are seated, colleagues, you have heard around that the university is cheating students and students are cheating the university and SRC is quiet. That's not the case. The university is not cheating students and students are not cheating the university. There was just a hiccup in the beginning of the year when students wanted to apply for private accommodation, understanding that the DHET guidelines for the 2020 academic year had changed compared to those of the 2019 and previous year. Students are now required to have a municipal letter compared to the previous year when they had to only make an affidavit stating the relationship between the student and the landlord. Now, this was a challenge to most students, as municipal letters are only acquired by those with landlords that are paying services. If your landlord, for example, is somewhere in Mandela Park and your landlord is not paying services such as electricity, water and collecting of refusals, you won't be in a position of acquiring a municipal letter from the local municipality of Maluti Apufu. Now, this brought a challenge in the applications of students as they started falsifying documents to acquire the municipal letter. Yes. And other students copied or used the same documents when they applied for private accommodation, and this brought an inconsistency to the application statuses when their applications are being reviewed. So in a nutshell, such students are given an opportunity until the 11th of September to apply for their private accommodation. I'm already thinking that there is a student, as on social media they tried to contact me and making me aware that I got confirmation from financial aid. They told me to submit the correct documentation, and I have submitted for the 6th and 7th, the 8th and the 9th time now, the correct documentation, but my status still comes back and say no. We are advising such students with incompletes to follow up on their matter, colleagues. There is an importance of noting that SRC in its position will forever advocate for students, but SRC is not in a position of going to financial aid and say so and so with such a student number is not assisted. There is a POPI Act in place that is protecting both the university, the SRC and the students. So SRC is not privileged to have access to student information. Even though we are trying our level best to champion student issues, a student would give me their particulars for me to consult on their behalf. It doesn't mean that I'm having access to their student information and the reasons behind why their private accommodation is not attended to. However, in my position as an SRC member, I will be attending to the case and fast-tracking all processes so that we produce results from both student leadership and the financial aid offices. I want to speak to the issue of students that are on NSFAS Funza Lushaka and students that are on private bursaries. All students in these categories, except students that are cash paying, are being reminded to go back and speak to their sponsors. Students on private bursaries, please notify your sponsors that the 2020 academic year has been adjusted and the second semester is going to end next year, 2021, in March. We are expecting students with private bursaries and personal sponsors to continue paying their fees into the following year. We are counting the month of January, February, and March as the last months of the second semester of 2020. Please be reminded and go remind your sponsors to be aware of the adjustment of the academic calendar. We do not want to be working on 2021 registrations with first years and then encountering seniors that do not have money to continue or are not receiving their allowances. So as far as NSFAS and Funza Lushaka students are concerned, these students, on behalf of the institution, we are busy in engagement with the Department of Higher Education, sourcing funds for them, since the University of the Free State is not the only university in South Africa that has adjusted their academic year as recommended by the Minister of Higher Education. NSFAS will later communicate as per the students' email, UFS for Life email. There will be confirmation there assuring them that they are funded for the 3 months beginning of the 2020 and 2021 academic year adjustment. Colleagues, I think I should pause here, take questions, and I will continue thereafter.
By you saying there will be a continuing adjustment for the first 2 months of the year, or for the first 3 months, as you said, does it mean that students will be getting their meal allowances for those months?
Thank you for the question, my good sir. Students will still be getting their allowances. For example, students that stay in the residences, the campus residences, these students are only getting their meal allowances. They are not getting their private accommodation. So we are anticipating a working relationship that the minister communicates that allowances for the month of January, February, and March, as we conclude the 2020 academic year, will be assisted to students. Now, there would be a senior student in place wondering, what does this necessarily mean for me? Am I going to start my academic year now in April? All these changes will also be communicated, because in the month of February and March, this is where students will be writing their final examinations. All these adjustments, when they were done with anticipation that the national lockdown will be at ease, allowing students now, even though we keep the protocols in place, to come back to campuses and continue with their academic obligations. Thank you, my good sir.
Thank you so much. Do you have any question?
No.
Okay, I think we are good. They are listening. If they have any questions, they will be sending in. So, listeners, if you have any question for the SOC about what we are talking about right now, please send in your comments right down below on Facebook. We are live. If you haven't followed us, follow us now on Facebook. We are QLate. On Twitter is @Q_Late Radio. On Instagram is @Q_Late_Radio. And of course on WhatsApp, 063 952 9463. You may proceed, my son.
Thank you very much. I wanted to speak on operational matters again and capture all so that students do not feel too overwhelmed. There are support services in place that the University of the Free State has implemented per the request of the ISRC to support students in their quest of continue with online learning and saving the academic year. Now, students do not need to feel too overwhelmed and feel vulnerable by the academic year. There are support services in place for students, and these support services includes the office of the social worker. Map of follow is available. Support staff is available on campuses, and they are also available as per the communication of the SRC. There are contacts of contacting the specific offices should you need social support. For example, a student that is struggling with a student that may be struggling with food. I'm not sure whether food is the correct term, but students that can be assisted with food parcels, they can contact the social worker and make themselves known that may I please be assisted in such a nature, and I'm a student from such a location, and I'll only be able to come to campus on such a date. There is moreover support from academic staff. Students are also encouraged to contact the student academic advising on Qwaqwa campus. The offices are available, and we need to put on record that the department has hired more qualified academic advisors to be available to assist students whenever they put queries in place. We also have support services from the student counseling and development when we take care of our mental health. Our mental health is important as much as our degrees are important. Now we know that there are students where they are suffering to cope mentally. They are suffering to manage both their academics and their personal lives. There are students that are overwhelmed because of their home environments that they are not allowing. There are students who feel too much pressure, and there are students who feel like quitting. We are referring such students to the opportunity of consulting with their campus counselors, qualified counselors, and they are found at SCD. The communication of their contacts is as per the SRC communique on Facebook. Moreover, we have ICT support. The Information Communications Technology Department is also available to assist students that need to upgrade their systems, that need to upgrade their laptop softwares, and students that need assistance with using the Global Protect app. The ICT services furthermore assist students that need to update and use software such as Microsoft Blackboard, Student Portal, and changing of passwords. So under operations, we are fully operational on campus. There are safety protocols in place that are there to keep the spread of the coronavirus and keep both the campus students and staff. Our mamzos and papzos are back at the residences and around campus. They are busy cleaning, keeping the state of the campus in place. Students that has had the opportunity of accessing the campus should have noticed the changes at the venues. At each venue on campus, there is now communication and both sanitizers. We are encouraging students to sanitize at each venue they enter on campus. The first point of sanitizing is at the main gate. Do not enter the main gate without sanitizing. You are not doing this to impress anybody. You are doing this to save lives. You are doing this to minimize the spread of the coronavirus. We do not know each other by looking that somebody is safe or not. Wear your mask all the time whenever you are on campus. And I think if there are any questions now, I'll be glad to take those questions specifically to institutional matters.
Okay, Mr. Mlo, we have two questions here from fellow students. The first one is from Maina Babu Tinyani. He says, Funza students, what about cash students? Why are they not being assisted?
Please come again, my good sir.
He's basically Umaina is asking about Funza Lushaka's the financial part of things. He says, what about cash students? Why are they not being assisted?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for the question, and thank you for the student taking the effort of asking the question. Now, as much as cash paying students are concerned, there is form of support for them. If a student is, for example, student Tato Mloi is a cash paying student and the student is struggling, because of the current predicament that we find ourselves in, and knowing that too many parents lost their jobs and too many parents are not affording all the services in place, and my parents were the ones that are paying for my tuition. Now, it is still the students' responsibility, according to the contracts that they signed when they registered with the university in January, that I am responsible for communicating between the university and my sponsor. Now, it is still the same responsibility of the students to come forward and say, I, Tato, I am in areas in my financial account and I would like to make a payment plan. The university is never turning away such students, and I'm thinking it will be our responsibility again as SRC to communicate this to students, that students that have not paid their first semester fees, even though they are not in the criteria of deregistration, but are always receiving communication per their student emails or SMSs reminding them that they should pay their fees. They are also encouraged to go to the same finance office and make a payment plan. The university would never turn away a student that is cooperating and wants to make a payment plan, understanding the position that we find ourselves in. Should a student encounter challenges going to such offices, the student is again welcome to bring the matter to our attention for prompt responses and for prompt assistance. Thank you, my good sir.
Okay, we have another one which is related to Funza students. It is from Lwanele Regi Madonsela, and he says, SRC, when will Funza students claim their remaining money to pay for accommodation and other costs? You only speaking on the extension of a semester. I don't know if you heard the question.
Thank you for the question, my good sir. Let me attempt the question. Should I have not captured it well, maybe we'll take it again.
Okay.
So, as far as Funza Lushaka students are concerned, apologies for laughing because Mr. Lwanele is a colleague of mine.
Okay.
You see, when colleagues are putting you on the spot, it's like they are testing whether what they know is the same thing as you would interpret it. However, in answering his question that I welcome very much, Funza Lushaka students, under normal circumstances, without coronavirus, when they register in January, they know and understand that they're gonna claim in second semester. There has never been a year that Funza Lushaka students were claiming their fees, or they usually refer to it as change. Funza Lushaka students per annum, they are given from the Department of Education, I think it's plus 90,000 rand in fees to pay for their current academic year tuition fees, including accommodation, transport, and meals. Now, the procedure that works with Funza Lushaka, from when you apply, even on the website of Funza Lushaka, you would notice and understand that Funza Lushaka funds you, but you'll only be able to have access to such monies in the second semester when Funza Lushaka has paid the institution all your monies. What has been happening throughout the past years, the Department of Education, as the administrators of Funza Lushaka, was using their departmental monies to assist students with allowances per term. Now, we are grateful to the department and the faculty for such provisions. But students, in this current state that we find ourselves in, the department and the faculty of education on campus and institutionally does not have funds to assist students again this year as they were assisting students in the past year. This is why the faculty is not assisting students with the 5,000 rands or the 10,000 rands for students to continue paying. But the fact remains that Funza Lushaka students know from the point that they register, they will be advised to keep a certain money at the end of each academic year for them to be able to register the following year. But Funza Lushaka is not a sponsor that pays allowances per month or per quarter. It pays in second semester, and students that have been using Funza Lushaka from first year and they're in their final year now will add to the case that they've always claimed their remaining monies in their student account, student financial account, in the second semester approaching the end of September. Now, I'm not sure if I captured the question of Mr. Matonzala very well, but that's the case around Funza Lushaka. What is happening now, there are provisions in place, seeing the need of students and raising the issue that they would need to pay for their accommodation. They have other obligations that they need to meet. The department and the Faculty of Education has now formed a way of assisting students, but it is in the form of a loan that SRCs are not encouraging students to. The same loan that students would need to take, we want to keep it upright that the loan that you take with the university is going to gain interest. We are not encouraging students to do that. We rather, as SRCs, go back to the negotiation tables, fast track the processes of Funza Lushaka as much as we worked on NSFAS procuring students with allowances for the month of July and August as the first semester was extended. I think I should pause here, my good sir.
Okay. Okay. No, I think if he's not answered, he will send another comment, because we have another comment here from Maina Babu Tinyani. He has two comments here. He says, but that is not assistance. Assistance is putting measures in place for those that are marginalized. Payment plans have been there all these years. And he goes on to say again, the data provision on other network carriers is still inactive. Honestly, some need laptops, even because they are cash paying students. They're not getting all the attention at all. People are struggling out there. Those were the two comments by Maina Babutinyani. So basically, the first one is his extension from him asking about students that are cash pay. He says
there's no assistance.
Yes, the analogy you gave about cash paying students is somewhat to him, not assistance. So would you please clarify that to him?
Thank you again for the submission from the students, and I'm welcoming such submissions because they are equipping us as SRCs to prepare for meetings and go argue, advocate, and win, champion issues for students. Now, the student is a cash paying student, and a student is told that make a payment arrangement plan because you haven't paid your fees for a certain time and you have outstanding fees. Now, when I said it is the responsibility of the student and the institution together with the SRCs to handle such matters, all I meant was that the first stop we ask, how is the student in a position of not having funding? If a student is a South African citizen, if a student meets all criteria, if a student is in a position of getting the grants that are in place that are supporting student academics. Should a student not have qualified for NSFAS, remembering very well, there are thresholds for students to qualify for NSFAS. Students that are in the middle class, there is a certain way that those monies are calculated to consider a student to be in the middle class. There is also a certain way that it is calculated that a student to be considered, excuse the word rich, but a student could be considered rich if their parents are earning a certain salary per annum. A student will be in a category of being categorized as a student that can afford their studies. Now, in this case, a student does not have funding. What is the SRC and the institution doing to assist the student? The institution and the SRC would want to understand, why is the student not in a position of having grants, the NSFAs and your Funza Lushakas and all other grants that the institution is assisting students with. From there, that's when we're going to be identifying how we can take the matter up. How can we be assisting the student? Now, a student may come to my office and say that, no, I applied for NSFAS, but I did not get it. We're still going to ask the same question. Why did you not get NSFAS? Did you submit incorrect documents? No. There will be also another case. A student is a returning student. They did not meet the academic requirements for NSFAS to fund them the following year. There are many scenarios whereby a student might not have funding, but as SRCs, we are not going to defend management or defend ourselves. Yes, we want to assist students. I'm going to encourage the students now to write to me. I'm going to leave my contacts at the end of this call so that the same student can write to me and discuss with me why I do not have funding. And why would it be a challenge for such a student to go back to the same institution that they worked and put in an application, and make them aware that I'm struggling financially and I would like to make a payment plan. My parent is unemployed and both my parents keep up with odd jobs. Per month, my parents can make 500 rands, and I promise that I'll give you 200 rands on such terms. I'm not sure whether I captured the student very well, but colleagues, I know we are on the same page.
Okay.
Yes.
Because of time, we're going to have to
Fast track.
Yes, fast track the interview.
Yes. Is there anything else that you want to add just for just a few minutes? Or a minute, that is. Mr. Mlod.
Oh, okay. Thank you again for the opportunity. In the interest of safekeeping all our students, staff, and the UFS community at large, it is still important that students adhere to the safety protocols of the Department of Health and those announced by the National Command Council. We constantly, through the Office of Communication and Marketing, communicate important messages to students. Do not, as a student, think that the communication that is received per your student emails, SRC knows nothing about that. We agree to such communications with management, and management has more resources to communicate with students. SRCs do not have access to student emails. Please keep reading those emails. Please use the Global Protect app to listen to the coffee radios such as the QLEAD. Please stay safe. Please, and wear your mask all the time. We are in crucial times, and we do not want to be losing students to negligence of not adhering to the rules and regulations. Thank you, colleagues.
But
Okay.
before you go,
before you do the things there, Mr. Babu Mtinyane is looks like he's not answered. He has a comment here. He says the question is, in such a state where parents, sponsors, and breadwinners are losing their jobs and the country has been on lockdown for months, where will the money come from of paying when they are living in an abject poverty now? And payment plans will not provide the capital to pay. What are your comments on that?
No, thank you again for the question. I'm thinking that this is a conversation that we would need to open again.
yes.
Between SRCs and students, because one, as an SRC member, I'm learning of this situation in this interview. There has never been a student that came forward and say, I am a victim of such a process, how can I be assisted? But knowing the history of the UFS, they're gonna allow the students to continue studying. The only way that they're gonna hinder the processes of students exiting the system is to keep in their academic record, of which these are the terms that both SRC management and students agree to. A student needing an academic record owing the institution knows that there is a procedure in place. You apply for a confirmation letter through the student academic services. Now, the student is asking me a specific question that we are in a national lockdown, parents are not working. If I make a payment plan, where is the money gonna come from that I'm committing that I'll pay 200 rands per month? A payment plan is not saying that pay tomorrow. A payment plan is whereby you're gonna take oath and say that I am a victim of such a process. May I please be pardoned of being financially excluded and deregistered. The importance here is for the student to make the institution aware that I am financially struggling, because the institution will communicate prior to the student that according to our records, you haven't paid such monies into your student financial account. What is happening? That's where the student would need to go back to the university and say, no, I'm Loitato, I'm in a financial trouble right now because my sponsor is unemployed given the current situation. I would like to be pardoned from the initial payment plan that I have made that I will pay per month, but now you'll hear from me when I'm ready to pay. The institution will again tell the student that it's okay what you are telling us, we are in the second semester, continue with your studies, but note that you won't have access to your academic record at the end of the semester should you not have settled your debts then. Thank you.
Okay, seems like we are getting a lot of engagement now that we want to end the interview.
Yeah.
We have two last. Okay, these are the last. Listeners, please.
Last.
Yes, the last ones. Please, if you still continue to have questions, please leave them in the comment section and we will make them available to the SRC so that next week when they come back again, they'll be able to answer them. But for now, we're only going to give Mr. Mloy the last two, and then we exiting the interview. And we have one here from Dolly M. Mudibedi. She asked that she would like to know whether it is compulsory for all first years to be back to residence, even if remote learning continues.
Thank you for the question, and thank you very much to the student taking the effort to submit the question. Now, it won't be compulsory. It is an opportunity that will be open for first years. Remember, from when the lockdown started, nothing was ever said about first years, even when the minister communicated about students that are essential. The minister spoke nothing about first years. Now, as an institution, we submitted to the office of the minister that, but the most vulnerable students here are first years, because first years were in a process of adapting to the university life, and we can't say that they are already equipped with the necessities of studying from home, and some first years never had an opportunity of buying their devices so that they can continue with online learning from home. Now, it won't be compulsory for first years to come back. What would be compulsory is for students to continue with online learning, submit assignments, and should there be tasks that need to be completed, the student is still obligated to complete those tasks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have here a request from your comrade Lwanele Reji Madonsela. He says, comrades, please engage with the Faculty of Education and have a fixed, clear date. When will Funza students claim money, since the second semester is now starting on the next month and we're supposed to claim?
No, thank you again to the submission of my brother referring to me as a comrade, Lwanele. We will sure to go back to the faculty and see why the processes are at halt and see how we can initiate more assistance.
We're having some technical difficulties in terms of the call, but I'm sure that you've been...
It's legally their money, so they want it, and we commit that the SRC will communicate such information.
Okay, we had a technical difficulty there. We couldn't hear what you were saying. Could you please repeat that again?
Oh, I was committing that as SRCs, we will communicate to students our developments when we have engaged with the Faculty of Education around when students can have access to their monies.
Okay.
Thank you.
So they are asking here to.
Now we have to cut.
No, they're asking them for the number. Again, he said yes.
Number,
he said he was going to give them the number so they can ask questions directly to you.
Oh yeah, the number that you said you would give.
Oh, okay. For students, they can always reach me on 058-718-5208. That is my office line. It is even active now. They can always, however, contact me on my email address, that is moloitk@ufs.ac.za, and I'm also available on Facebook, where I'm also approachable. Thank you. Those are the 3 contacts where students can have a conversation with me.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for your engagement, and I hope that we'll be inviting you again. So that you can
next week, there will be another weekly report that will be coming in from the SOC. So those who haven't listened, or those who still have further questions, they can also tune in next week, same time, same place, so that they'll be given a platform to voice out their concerns and anything else that they have on their chest.
No, thank you very much, colleagues, for having me, and good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Dube.
No, thank you so much.
You don't have anything else to add?
I've just covered everything. So now I'll just say, if they have more of these questions, they can just send them to our Facebook page. It's SRC 2019-2020. We are always there available. And also, we've just shared our contact details. My email address states dubess@ufs.ac.za, and my phone number is 072-355-9771. And on Facebook, I'm Princess Tabang Dube. I'm always available. Thank you for the session, colleagues.
Okay. Enjoy your day. There you have it. This is hashtag on the ground with your capital city ministers, NTM and Sushi. This was your weekly Qwaqwa Campus SRC report for this week. So if you still want more, you can still tune in on the best entertainment in the land. And also for next week, you can also tune in same time where the SRC will be back giving you whatever that you have to ask them, and also telling you what they've been doing for the past week.
Yes, of course, now we have eaten your time. Of course, we were supposed to be playing 5 of the best tracks exactly 5 minutes before the hour 3 o'clock.
Yes,
but nonetheless, we'll be playing them right after this. I hope that you will be enjoying those 5 tracks. Wow. Seemingly the students had a lot to say.
They had a lot to say.
But same time, 2 o'clock, on Friday, it is reserved. Yes, it is reserved for the SRC. So whenever you have any grievances that you want the SRC to give you clarity upon, do leave your comments. Give us your send us your comments on our cell phone, of course.
Yes.
Our WhatsApp line is 063-952-9463. It is 063-952-9463. And listen, we have given you the platform to view your. But please, let us not be very violent. I saw a lot of other comments there were very.
Yeah, you were very
too much emotional.
Impulsive.
It is a Friday, ladies and gentlemen. As much as we are voicing our grievances, let us be more cognizant of what we say. But it was a nice session indeed.
Thank you so much. Now for the good times, for the good vibes, the song is coming in. Oh, Shasha. sampling Something About You featuring DJ Maporis and Gaza Small. Beautiful, beautiful song. So, right up on now, we've just digested a long conversation with the SOC. Now let's digest this good music. Shasha with Something About You. Enjoy.
Yeah. Yes.
Engagement. Go. Shit.
I say the engagement is from whom? Comrade. Yeah, this guy who or something. He is actually AFP.
What?
Then the